Okay, hello, welcome back to episode 2 of the Weeb Warriors Podcast.
Speaking of two,
as you can see, there is only 2 of us. But it's fine, you know, still got double the weeb. We fired Morgan because she's not weeb enough. No, I'm joking. She took this episode off.
You might have noticed in the last episode she hadn't watched many anime, so out.
Yeah.
Didn't meet the requirements, so we're all looking for replacements. If you would like to join the Weeb Warriors,
if you've got your CV,
drop your CV in the comments.
There's a forum down below. You can post your CV and you can be one of the Weeb Warriors. No. It's taking time off. But anyway, the show must go on. So today is, in fact, a very different episode as it is a coronavirus special. Since the coronavirus has hit the world because that one guy wanted to eat bat soup, we've...
Shout out to him.
No shout out to him. Is he still alive? No, he can't be.
I don't know, to be honest.
He can't be. But yeah, since that happened, the world has paused, including Japan, so there's not really much going on we can talk about apart from, like, the odd thing. So we're going to try and hopefully fill an hour today with coronavirus and Japan related content. So the first point we would usually talk about is anime and manga, but obviously a lot of that's been paused or delayed because no one can work, everyone's at home. So I guess we can talk about the knock-on effect pausing anime has had, which is, you know, pretty standard really, I'd assume. It's just like, I
would imagine manga is still being worked on, but there's no medium to release it on.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
the Weekly Jump and that. I would assume that artists are working. In fact, it's probably like a great opportunity to get more done, but it's just not being released if it's like on hold.
Possibly, but then what is involved in the production of manga? Because surely it's not just printing. The artist. It's got to be the printing. It's got to be the writing as well, possibly. And typically they'd probably be in the same office, wouldn't they? Like the writers and the artists would probably be in the same office, so they'd know how to draw things and they'd be able to communicate how to draw ththings better and illustrate things better.
There'll be like a whole team involved that are obviously not together, but for someone like Kishimoto wrote and drew Naruto, so I feel like someone of his ilk, it's like prime time to be doing stuff. Yeah,
maybe we might see a surge in manga when this is like a few months in.
But I know like a lot of movies, like anime movies, have been pushed just because like no one can go to the cinema and watch them. So which is happening everywhere. Like
that's the same with normal episodes as well. A lot of episodes are getting delayed because they haven't got enough people to work on them, and obviously because I imagine you've got to have specific equipment to be able to do animation. Like you've got to have PCs and systems that can handle like high processing. What's the word? Like capabilities. People won't have that at home. So trying to produce something that like an animation might be
unlimited power.
Oh yeah, unlimited power. It might go very awful.
I mean, yeah, I imagine it's like, although I mean it is Tokyo, but then again,
I just imagine the typical like Japanese household probably doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. In fact, I'll get onto that in a bit, but I'll save that for when we talk about the knock-on effect of work. But yeah, it's probably, I assume no anime is being produced because again, you've got to be in an office and there's a team for that as well. Like it's not just one guy that animates. It's like a ton of them. So they're not going to be together and they would need to communicate. So I'm guessing all anime is just on hold.
I think I've seen some have been delayed. But I don't know if that necessarily means they're still working on it while they're at home, or if it just means
I would
they're
guess
delaying
that
the release to try and keep it going a little bit longer.
Yeah, like the episodes that are being delayed will already be made because it gets made in advance. But you've got to account for the fact that no one's working now. So if you were to keep putting them episodes out, there's going to be a point where there's no episodes left, and then they've got to catch up, which is not ideal. So
they're just delaying it to try and keep themselves ahead a little bit, really. Yeah. It's mental. It is mental. Yeah, so films have been delayed, obviously. Anime's been delayed because they can't work on it. Manga's been delayed. Well, possibly been delayed. I think...
I'm guessing it's just not being produced. But
yeah, I mean,
I would assume it's being worked on.
I think there's one. I think it might be Boku no Hero. Is still being released as a manga, not as an anime. Obviously, season 4 of that ended recently, but I think the manga is still going. I think there's been some new series, although I think it has slowed down in terms of like the release in the chapters.
Maybe Jump is still going. I don't know, because I assume convenience stores are open in Japan.
Yeah, it might also be just shorter team, like smaller teams in the offices. Like maybe not everyone is at home. Maybe there is still people in there. It's just a lot less than usual.
Again, though, that stuff will be made in advance, so it might just slow down a little bit. But
yeah,
plus there's tons of stuff in Jump, so it's like there's probably still plenty to release.
Plus, I think their lockdown was a lot long. It was a lot shorter than ours, wasn't it? Or at least,
because they're doing
now anyway.
They've done it properly. Also, on like all of Asia did it properly. Like obviously, it started in China and they got over it pretty quick. I was reading yesterday, South Korea had a surge, and I quote a surge in new infections. They had 79 new infections, so they tightened the lockdown. We're on like 10,000 deaths, and we're about to open Primark for like a party. So,
yeah,
it's madness.
I like how they caption that as like 79 extra cases as a surge. It's like compared to our surge, which is still the first one. It's still like not like compared to our numbers. It's insane.
Like the Western world has just like handled it ridiculously because money.
I was reading as well. It's strange that that's happened because apparently, I don't know about other Asian countries, but Japan's probably one of the only countries that cannot like execute official orders. Like they can't enforce people to stay at home. They can't enforce repercussions if you break that. Like they can't force you to stay at home. They can't fine you if you don't. Apparently. I don't know how true that source is, but I think it probably more, if that is true, it probably more says more about the people and their cultures. Like they still respect their government and they're still smarter to know, stay at home, don't go outside, there's a pandemic, it's not worth it. So,
I mean, to be fair, so we're based in the UK, and as far as I can tell, there's no repercussions here for going outside. But the difference is everyone's doing it.
Yeah. I think we should probably address, we've got a friend that works for the NHS, and there is some stuff that is happening. So, like, I believe, what is it called? Transport police. They are going around and checking the validity of your travel and things like that. And I don't know if...
But there's no... nothing happens. If you're there and you haven't got the right documents to show, they're just like, right, well, don't do that again.
I think... So he's obviously got a note for work because he works for the health system, so he needs to go into work. But I think he's told us once before that he had a note and someone else didn't, but they just told him to get off at the next train and not do that again, off the next stop, and don't do that again. And that's not enough. Like, we need to be like enforcing people or making an example of people to not do that again. Like, it can't keep happening because people are just gonna go, oh, okay, I'll get off at the next stop, but then they'll get on the next train and go to wherever they want to go because they haven't had anything. They've just been told to get off. That's it. But
there's no fines or nothing.
No, there's no fines. But
which,
Japan,
by the sounds of it, it's the
apparently.
same in Japan. Yeah,
but they've been responsible and they've been respecting that. Like, I guess not order, but like, I mean, yeah, but it's common sense to us. But to other people, it might be like, well. It won't happen to me. It's not in Merseyside or it's not in London or whatever. But Japan seems to be like respectful of that, like fear and that possibility.
Well, it's just like, I mean, we mentioned last episode. It's a nation founded on respect.
Yeah, and manners.
So Yeah, it's purely just going to be that, and it's like, well, we've been told to stay inside, so we're going to stay inside. I think the trains and stuff are still running. Well, they must be, because there's going to be people that are key workers even in Japan.
I was about to jump onto that. Yeah, it's one of the things that have been noticed with Japan obviously going into lockdown is people have probably seen clips on the internet of what Japan's train systems are like, where people are they're so full, people are getting pushed on, and they actually have people there that are getting paid to push people onto trains.
Their job is to push people in.
Their job is to get as many people on a train as possible.
So we mentioned last time that we've been to Japan, right? And like there are times when like you're waiting for a train and it's clearly full. Like the carriage is full, but people get on anyway.
People still get on
into like no space. Yeah. It's mad, and they'll just like push their way back. It's madness.
And what's even weirder is everyone else around that still respects that. Like if that happened here in the UK,
normal.
Yeah, if that happened here in the UK and a train pulled up and it was full and we tried to get on, people would be like tutting, they'd be sighing, they'd be like rolling their eyes. But in there, they're just like, yeah, make do with what you gotta make do. Get past there if you want to. And it's like
there's absolutely no room, and they're just somehow squeezing in, and then they're hanging out. The door can't close, so some guy comes along and pushes everyone in.
yeah, they literally push people in. I think, to be fair, most of our train travels weren't that bad because we weren't going on like the the financial lines and stuff like that, like to the main corporate side of towns.
Like there were some busy ones, like Harajuku on a Sunday morning.
Yeah,
it's pretty busy because that's like the day everyone goes.
Yeah. But even then, it wasn't insanely bad. I think there was only one that I could class was really bad, but it was.
I feel like we avoided rush hour as well. We were either earlier than rush hour or just slightly after, like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I feel like 7, 8 o'clock is when it gets mental, and like we were either mad early, like 4 a.m. or like 9.
Yeah.
So
and even then, like a lot of the busier trains are only busy for a short amount of time because there's that many stations in between in between each other. So you could get on a really packed train, but then the next station everyone would get off and it would be like, it'd still be quite packed, but not as busy, like to the degree where you're like shoulder to shoulder with someone.
Yeah, it's pretty much on their trains all standing room as well, so there's like plenty of room as opposed to ours. Anyway,
yeah, when I got back, I was like, because the Japan trains have like these little hoops that you can hang on to from the top, and they have them like right the way down the train, even in between the seats and everything. Like it's so helpful. On ours, we have the seats and that's it. We have in the between where you get on, there's like these little poles that you can hang on to, which is about it. If you don't get onto one of them, good luck. You're gonna have to hold on to someone you're next to when the train stops. Otherwise, you're going right the way back. But I don't know why we don't have them. Like our trains are quite busy. Often.
Well, because it's full of seats though, isn't it? Like they expect everyone to want a seat and sit down. We have those little areas where you can stand in, but I think it's more efficient to just have standing room. Like there is seats, by the way. If you're like
they're just
infirm or elderly and you're worried
instead of like facing each other going right the way down the carriage, so they're just along the side of the train or along the side of the carriage right the way down.
And general rule is that like people will give up their seat for someone who clearly needs it, because again it's Japan and they're respectful.
Yeah, like age or pregnancy or anything like that. Yeah, just to be respectful. If you have a seat, more. I mean that happens here sometimes, but more often in Japan. Like if you see an elderly person get on in Japan, or a pregnant woman, you almost immediately have to stand up and offer them your seat. So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it rarely happens here, to be fair.
Yeah,
People do that whole thing of like, just pretend I don't see them.
In Japan, it's more of a requirement, but here it's more of a like you'd be classed as a good Samaritan if you did it here. But if you did it there, it's like if you don't do it, you're an evil person. It's essentially like what the difference is. That's the closest I can sort of relate the difference there. But yeah,
and despite it being so packed, like you'd think it was like a disease incubator, but also everyone in Asia wears masks all of the time. It's not just the thing because coronavirus has come about, so it's like everyone get your masks. Like it's always been like that. They're generally a very clean country. And you know what's mad? I don't think we spoke about this last episode, but there's no bins in Japan. but also no litter.
We didn't speak about this.
They're super clean and efficient country, but we had some real trouble with finding bins.
Yeah, I think so. They have obviously. I think we haven't spoken about this either, but they have like vending machines out in the street, which is a phenomenon to us, purely based on if that was in England, they would get vandalized so quickly. But
again, respect.
Again, that's respect that keeps them running and keeps them going. But I think there's only bins where the vending machines are, and even then, not all vending machines have bins. It's just, but there's still no litter. It's weird. I think.
I know, like. It's like in the theme parks, obviously, there's plenty of bins in like Disneyland. There were times when I would buy breakfast and then keep the wrapping on me till I got to Disneyland because I knew there'd be a bin in Disney. Like, that's how few and far between the bins are.
I can't tell you how many times I came back from stuff throughout our day and my bag would just have like the day's rubbish in it. Because like
filling the bin every day in the hotel. Empty out the day's rubbish.
The thing is, there is no bins on streets. It's usually in buildings or in, obviously, attractions and stuff. But in the streets, there's nothing. But it's still remarkable because there's no litter. It's weird.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like... I mean, there's no law against it. Because even day drinking in the street is legal in Japan. But I think it's just, like, frowned upon to eat and drink in public, like, while you're walking around. People don't generally do it. Like, we did it a couple of times. Yeah, because we were, like...
Tourists.
We were on tight schedule.
And tourists.
We didn't really have time to sit and eat breakfast.
No.
So we sort of ate it on the move. But also, we're clearly not Japanese, and we were clearly there, like, as tourists, so I feel like there's a little bit of leniency.
They were a bit more forgiving, because they just look at someone eating food, then they looked at us, and they were like, they're Western, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they're rude.
Yeah, they automatically assumed we were rude, so they forgave us for it. No, but hey, I mean, I'll be honest. The point I was going to make, we've gone completely off, so I'll cycle back. But the trains usually mad busy, but because of the coronavirus, apparently they've been super empty, which is like one of their like headline news articles is like the trains are empty, and it's like that is insane.
It's just key workers, because I know a lot of businesses are just like working from home. I was reading as well that a lot of, because we did speak last episode about salarymen and their work rates and how much they work. Obviously, pretty much all those businesses, because it's like 90% of Japanese males are salarymen. If you are not somebody, then you're a salaryman, which means you're working those mad hours and you have like a couple hours to yourself every night, which you spend doing karaoke or in a maid cafe. So like all those businesses have been working from home, and apparently efficiency and productivity is doing just as fine as it was when they were in the office. And I know there was one company in particular the article was referencing, I was reading, but I assume this is quite a generalized thing, is like they're looking at like, well, maybe we don't need to keep up these crazy hours, like maybe we can start looking at ways to split shifts and whatever and keep this productivity, but also give our employees quality of life. Because I know obviously the Olympics was meant to be held this year, and they were looking at trying to ease congestion anyway by doing that, because tons of people are going to flood to Japan for the Olympics. And so it was a case of like, well, the trains are already full, as we've just mentioned. It's going to be chaos when the Olympics arrive.
Strikes,
So they were looking at ways anyway to be like, well, how can we ease the congestion on trains and stuff? We're going to have to stop people coming into work. Then the coronavirus hit, and they've had to do that. Like, they've been forced to do that, and they've seen that it kind of is all right. Like,
it's still taking across, They were fearing nothing, essentially. Like, they were scared of people working from home because just, like, productivity might halt, but obviously now they've been forced to do it. They haven't had a choice in the matter. So they thought originally, but they've forced it, and it's still been working fine. So, I mean, I was reading an article as well. I think it might have been the same one, actually. And it said even though a lot of businesses, like CEOs and stuff, projected negative impact on their business, and they like thought it was going to be a really bad idea for everyone to work at home, they still followed it. I mean, because there was no requirement to have to, but to them mentally there was. Like, to them mentally, they were like, well, it's going to impact our business negatively, but we'll have to. We can't be the only business that goes in and starts working again.
Yeah, but then I think when you see that it's like still working, it's like, you know, also I think there's something to be said for having happy employees. Like,
oh god,
they're gonna do more. Productivity goes up. Like, if you're unhappy in your job, you kind of just can't be bothered. But then if you're happy, regardless of how many hours you work, well, like if you get someone that doesn't want to be there and you give them more hours, they're going to be less productive than someone that is enjoying what they're doing and is on less hours, because they'll just want to do it.
They'll be more eager to get involved and to do more. When
it's
they
probably
like it.
part of it. Like, they've got their freedom back a little bit, and I don't expect it to change when lockdown lifts. It'll go back to how it always was, but hopefully it's like in future, like down the line, they know now that it works and they can start implementing little changes. And
so they'll probably go back to normal just to fix the economy. But then after that, they'll be able to be a bit more lenient.
It'll be too quick to change, but then you also got to think, all these CEOs that are there now, one day they're not going to be there, and these people that are salarymen right now will one day be CEOs, and hopefully that generation are aware of like that it doesn't need to be the way it is now, and things will change in like the years to come.
They'll look back.
That's like one of the worst things about Japan, I think.
Yeah, they'll look back and be like, I remember that time when the country was still functioning despite a pandemic going on and the lockdown being a thing, but I don't want my business to run like that, so I'm gonna be a little bit more lenient with my employees and my work.
You would hope so.
Which, I mean, that like trends nicely onto another article that I was reading, which was in relation to the suicide rates. Even that's gone down, which obviously Japan has one of the highest suicide rates through any country, and it was due to that, like salarymen working hours. People were just working on a cycle and they were not happy with their lives, so they were committing suicide. And even now,
there's no time for like, there's no time for social norms. Like we were saying last episode about the maid cafes and how it's just like a place for them to go and hang out and like experience what it's like to have a friend, which sounds super sad, but it's also just normality for Japan. Like, that's normal.
They get like a few hours to themselves before they have to go home and sleep and then repeat the day, but it's a lot less hours than what like any other culture would get.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But I guess because everyone's been in lockdown and they've been able to focus on their mental health, that it's you know, it's had a knock-on effect to their suicide rates, because people have been able to, you know, work on their mental health and they've not been feeling as bad and they've not been working as long hours, so they've been able to do more stuff. They've been able to focus on things they've wanted to focus on, and obviously, like,
that's what I'm saying. It's like they've been given their freedom back.
Yeah, which is a good thing, because it means that again, they'll want to keep this down. Like, the suicide rate's gone down, they'll want to keep it down, so they'll probably be like, right, what's caused the suicide rate to go down? Well, more time, more freedom. Let's give them that. And
their argument, presumably, has always been, well, we can't afford to give them their time and their freedom because we need to keep these businesses going. But now it's like, actually, you can afford to, because the business is still going. They still go on less hours. They still go on when there's not as many staff in. So feel free to. And then that will hopefully improve the country. Because I think that's like, there's a couple of things about Japan that, you know, could be better. Yeah. It's one of the greatest countries in the world. In fact, it's my favourite. But, like, you know, there's always stuff to improve on, and that's definitely one of them. Yeah, for sure. Even, like, it doesn't typically affect the tourist side of it either, but as a country, it's just, like, it's one of them you'd wish they'd do better on, purely because... So, like, my view on it is because everyone's so nice there, I'd want them to have a better life. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want them to be working longer hours just to appease the people like me that are there. Like, if they want to go home to their families, go home to their family. I think, actually, a good example of this was our receptionist in the hotel. I remember seeing him one day in the morning as we were leaving to go to an attraction, and then later on when we came back, which was like, I think like quite late, like 8 or 9 o'clock, he was still there, and I was like, I can't believe he would have gone home, someone else would have replaced him for a few hours, and then he's come back. I can't imagine he'd do twice in one day. So he must have been there the entire day. And I was like, is anyone even asking you stuff at 9 p.m? Like, is anyone even actually needing you at 9 p.m? Like, were we? One time, when we were trying to find a Liverpool game.
Oh yeah, what that wasn't 9 p.m. though, was it? That was like
that was later. That was later than 9 because we were looking for the pub. Yeah, we couldn't find the pub showing it. And remember, we asked that guy on the way back on the bridge, but he didn't understand English.
Oh yeah.
And then we got back to our hotel and we were like, I'll just ask the reception if they can phone, because we were going to phone the Footnick, weren't we? And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that was pretty late.
Yeah.
If that was even later than 9 and they were still there, and generally I would imagine doing nothing because it was empty. We basically walked in and we were like, lads, where's the footy on? Like, so.
But then even that, like, if they hadn't have been there by the time we needed to ask them where this pub was or whatever, I wouldn't have bothered. I wouldn't have been like.
It was just a case of like, well, they're there, so
yeah, we'll ask them,
see if they know.
But
and it was also purely because they could speak English. We knew that.
Yeah.
So we tried to ask a guy on the bridge who'd probably been drinking anyway.
Yeah, he didn't understand the word.
Although, to be fair to him, didn't understand the word of English. Used a translator to try and work out what I was saying so he could answer it. It didn't really work. But he had to go, which is the main thing.
The counts, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, if I knew that guy was working those hours purely just to appease the random tourists that want to know where the closest pub showing an English football game is, I'd be like, no, go home, go to your family, do whatever you need to do, have more hours. But obviously, I'm not
a lot of hotels, like where I've been anyway abroad, there's like a time on reception where it closes.
Yeah,
and then there's just no one there, and it's like, well, if you need reception, come back in the morning. But they're just there
24/7, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does rotate. Like, I don't think that guy was there till the next day.
No. But he was there. Well, he must have had a few hours to himself because he was back again. Like, I'm assuming it's a rotating shift, but it's
small.
It's still mad hours. Yeah.
Which is sad. Even as a tourist, it's quite depressing because they're so nice that you want the best for them. Yeah, they're there just appeasing your random requests for an English football game.
It's important.
It was, to be fair, at the time it was, but not really. It was important to us.
It was important. It was City and Liverpool. It was the biggest game of the season. Also, Minamino.
Yeah.
He's here now, so shout out to him. Know you're watching.
I bought the shirt recently. I haven't got it, but if I had it, it would be on now.
Great. Photoshop the shirt onto it off.
There you go. There's the shirt.
Sorted. Welcome to Liverpool, lad.
We love you. Please don't leave. Get us more Japanese players.
Yeah, get a huge following going in Japan, so next time we go, everyone will know where the Liverpool game is, and it'll always be on.
The thing is, as well, it's even before that, like even before Minamino, they apparently loved Liverpool. I can't remember why.
So they've got a couple of. So they have a supporters club, like an official supporters club there for LFC, which is apparently one of the biggest LFC supporters clubs outside of England in the world, which is pretty sick. And they've got a few pubs in Tokyo that are just dedicated Liverpool pubs. It's not even like a sports bar, it's like Liverpool only. And I was speaking to a guy via YouTube like not that long ago about it, because there's a documentary on YouTube which we'll throw in the description if you're interested. And I was speaking to a guy about it, and he was saying that when a Liverpool game is on, the bar is only open to Liverpool fans, which is also mad because we don't even do that in this country.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you get to the door and there's a bouncer and he's like, "Are you a fan though?" Yeah, I don't know how they determine it.
Whether there's like a little quiz. Are you watching? Are you supporting? People probably just want to tell the truth.
Because everyone's honest in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't want to lie.
But that's pretty cool because then you know it's a friendly environment and there's going to be no trouble and no one's going to kick off. Like, you can go, there's somewhere you can go and watch it where it's going to be like-minded people and you can just like hang out and watch the game, which is sick.
It's mad that they'd entirely close down a whole audience that would probably give them quite a bit of money, to be fair. Like,
yeah, well,
they're closing it to exclusively Liverpool as opposed to every other, football team. I mean, obviously there's only going to be 2 playing that night, but you're still closing the entire pub down for the other side, like whoever that may be in Japan.
I think they're quite involved with Liverpool though. Like, I saw in that documentary there's footage of them going over to Anfield and like they meet Oxlade-Chamberlain and stuff, and they were getting like all signed things. And it was at the time Chamberlain was injured, and they took him like a bunch of gifts and presents to try and help him get better.
That's cool.
So he signed like a shirt for them and stuff, which I think is up in the pub. And hopefully, getting back to Corona, we are due to go back this year. Hopefully that does happen, but it's literally like up in the air at the moment because of everything that's going on. If we do go back, we'll be going to said pub and we'll hopefully see all that stuff. So that'd be pretty cool.
And I don't know if you've watched our channels, separate channels, but we've been doing, I think I call mine Weeb's on Tour, you called yours Rogue in Japan. We did a vlog series on them. We'll be doing that again, hopefully, if we go this year. So you can watch it. You can watch us go to this pub and see these things.
Yep, links to both our channels in the description if you want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely go and see that if you're interested in Japan, and check out the old one as well, because there's some stuff we'll do on that one that we don't do in the new one, and same vice versa. There'll be stuff we do in the new one that we don't do in the old one, and
they're all titled like in regards to what we did. So if there's something you're looking at specifically doing in Japan, go and take a look at the playlists, and if you see it in there, give it a watch. If not, check out the playlist for some ideas anyway. Like, we did a lot. It was a super busy trip, so there's a lot in there.
Send us a message of places we can go.
Yeah.
If there's somewhere you're looking to do and we're interested in it as well, we'll go to it and we'll see it for you, hopefully, and film it.
Yeah, and then if it sucks, it's your fault.
Yeah, if it sucks, we'll let you know.
But we'll have saved you the trip, the money, and the time going there. So
that's true. Yeah, we'll save you the time and effort of going there, and the money of going there as well. Yeah.
Although I will say, I can't think of any bad experiences we had. There wasn't.
I'd say probably the worst one, but by no means was it bad. It was probably just Shinobi Zato, but just because of how far away it was.
Oh yeah.
But even that wasn't insanely bad. That wasn't like
area though. That area, I don't know, but it looks like it might be getting sort of popularized a little, like
commercialized.
There isn't much there right now, but it looks like they might be building things on. I mean, it was just a huge empty island by the looks of it.
Yeah, they had that sort of a suburb kind of area, like where you'd go to retire type of thing, but there was like a little theme park there, and obviously they had that giant park with Shinobi Zato in it. I think they had some other stuff in that park as well.
But generally, it looked pretty empty, like just mostly trees. And I know they're expanding Shinobi Zato, like building the new areas onto that, which we may go back if it's bigger and better by the time we get back there. And we deem it worthy to go back and see that stuff, then we'll go back and see it.
But that's, a big if with the coronavirus holding all work at the minute.
Getting back, before we touch on tourism, because we're going there.
Yeah.
Just going back to businesses real quick. I was also reading that apparently, which I didn't know, Japan don't really utilize email or anything like that, despite being like one of the biggest, like, technologically advanced countries in the world. They rely heavily on fax machines. So apparently 80% of homes and businesses in Japan still use fax machines because
I didn't know that.
Apparently it's like an outdated sort of like suspicion that if you use the internet for documents, it's going to get hacked and they're going to steal all your trade secrets and stuff. So I think it's just like tradition has like not gone away.
Tradition. Yeah.
And so they're still using fax machines, which they cannot do during quarantine because everyone's working from home and stuff. So they're having to utilize new technology. And I say new technology, it's like mad old technology.
Yeah.
But they're using emails now. So apparently, they like to have physical documents, which they now can't do. And they're discovering that it's fine. So maybe that's another thing that'll change. They'll finally get rid of the fax machine. They also have, I think it's called the Hanko stamp, which you will have definitely seen in like traditional Asian movies or even in anime. It's the little stamp that they put on documents. It's like their seal. You know what I'm talking about? I think the Hokage will stick it on and
yeah.
They use that still in Japan for like official documents. It has to be printed out from a fax machine and then they stamp it and then they send it off. And that's like, instead of signing a document, that's how you know it is officially coming from who it says it's coming from. Again, they can't do that because of quarantine. So now they're having to like do digital signatures, and they're discovering that is fine also.
That's strange. That I would never thought like, because Japan's like technologically more advanced than most other nations and countries, that they'd still be using stuff like the fax machine.
It's normally them that make it all as well.
Yeah,
like they make all these technological advancements and then don't use them.
They're like, we made this thing, do you want to use it? But don't you want it? Nah, we're fine, fam. We've got fax machines. It's like, what the hell?
What's mad though, it kind of parallels the city in a way, because it's a mix of like present day / futuristic stuff next to tradition. So it's like they've got these big buildings and businesses, but they're still using fax machines. And then at the same time, you walk around Tokyo. Tokyo is a super futuristic looking city, but then you can go around a corner and there's like a little temple hidden away between like 2 skyscrapers, which is mad. But it's like, it sort of parallels that in a way. Like, tradition hasn't gone away from Japan. It's like,
no,
it's still seeped in.
Yeah, it's still, I think
pretty cool to see.
They're too, it's almost sacred to them, isn't it? It's like kind of respectful of their past, I don't want to say traditions, heritage? But the similar word to a synonym for traditions, whatever. But it's like, yeah, one of the things we saw was right next to our hotel, which was surrounded by these huge skyscrapers and buildings, as James just said. There was a little temple right next to it. Yeah. And it was weird to see, like, I think, and it was, the thing is, it wasn't like I mean, to some people it might have been normal, but there was, I saw Asian people there taking pictures of it.
Yeah, but we don't know, like, they could have travelled from, outside of Tokyo.
Yeah, true, yeah. But
so it's like, strange. If we go to London and we take pictures of stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you're English, why are you taking photos of that?
Yeah, I suppose. But I think, yeah, that's what I was going to say, is one of the things that I kept telling people when we first got back was how weird it was that you could be in this proper futuristic city with, like, these TV screens on top of buildings and, these mad designed skyscrapers, and then you'd go 5 minutes on a train and see these proper traditional little towns with like these like little temples and oriental design houses and things. It was weird. It was like going on a DeLorean but on a train back in time.
It's kind of like everyone's ideal image of Japan, and it's still there. You can definitely still see it. Kyoto is like a great place to go and see like traditional Japan, but it's even more jarring to see it in Tokyo because Tokyo looks super futuristic. Yeah. It's like the cyberpunk city, basically. It's what everyone imagines, and there's just like little temples hidden between buildings and stuff. It's like, it's cool, I think.
Yeah, like the Samurai Museum where James got a sword and I almost got mine, F in the chat for that. That was surrounded by these huge buildings and arcades with these mad glowing lights and posters everywhere of like new films coming out, and even the Godzilla hotel was right next to it. And then it was just this little tiny shop based on the history and based on the history and culture of samurai, old age samurai. And it had like the traditional sliding doors, curtains, everything like that. And it was just this weird, it was like someone had copied a shop from a proper traditional town in the past and pasted it over a building in futuristic Tokyo. It was weird.
In regards to that as well, we'll throw in the description the name of it because I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you're gonna go there, they do a like tour, because it is a museum as well as just a shop where you can buy swords and armor. And I don't know if this happens every time or if I got really lucky the year I went, but when I did the tour, they had an actual samurai, like, because it's still something that is practiced in Japan, not like in Tokyo, but like further out towards like Osaka. In fact, they even have a school in Osaka where you can go and practice it. They had a samurai,
areas, isn't it?
Yeah, they had a samurai there, and he did like a little lesson in like how you sort of like would hold the sword, how you swing the sword. That thing that Graham was going crazy about the other day where they shake the blood off, he was teaching you how to do that as well. Which is pretty sick. And I don't know if that's like a normal thing that happens every time they go on the tour, or whether I just got lucky and he happened to be visiting, so they got him in.
Yeah.
But definitely go and check it out because it's cool.
Yeah, I would have liked to have done that if we had more time, if we weren't planned up for all of our days we were there. Maybe we'll do it this year if we go, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because it'd be sick to do that. I mean, I was planning on going back to the Samurai Museum to buy something anyway, but if we can do the tour as well, that'd be sick.
Yeah, get that kunai with chain.
Yes, sickle with chain.
Oh yeah, but kunai with chain.
Kunai with chain would be cooler, to be fair. When you were saying like the traditional like samurai still practice, do you reckon that's kind of like similar to our, like London has the beefeaters, but they're not really needed anymore?
Yeah, like I don't think they do anything, but I do know there's like a big festival that goes on. I'm not sure when it is, but I want to say September, where they put on like a show. Like they'll do like a big samurai march, and they'll have all traditional things out, like stores, and they'll be selling food as though it was like back in like Edo, Japan, and they'll put on like a fake battle that you can like watch and stuff, which I think would be pretty sick to see.
That'd be quite cool.
Like,
yeah,
I've never been at the right time to go and see it, but I've read about it and it sounds awesome. Like,
that'd be cool.
I think that's kind of all they do. I think they practice it because also like geishas still exist in Japan, and that's like a whole lifestyle that they're still living and they still practice it. I think it's the same with the samurais. Like it is a job to them. Like it's their life that they practice that art, but they're not like warriors anymore. It's not like the Japanese army is samurais.
No,
like they're not needed still, for combat anymore.
In that sense, they're probably kind of like our beefeaters then, because our beefeaters aren't used in war by any means, and I don't even think they're actually like the Queen's bodyguards by any means. I think they're just like trained officers probably, but
yeah,
it's more for tradition and for historical purposes.
So, yeah, to keep tradition alive, and also it's basically become like a touristy thing.
Yeah,
not even just for like tourists coming outside of Japan, like, which it is, because like I say, we want to see it. It sounds awesome, but even if you live in Japan, like, and you're growing up now, it's part of history that you never got to experience, but it's cool and you can go and see it at least.
Yeah, you can go and see.
Like they're still keeping it alive.
What your nation's history used to practice, basically.
But sort of still do practice. Like it's not even false. It's like they're totally doing it.
It's still doing it in the same way. It's just different reasons to why they're doing it now.
There's also a ninja school in Japan. I think you can go and like watch lessons happening.
Can you join
Osaka?
Can we become ninja?
I hope so. I mean, we should go and check it out and then request. Just be like, so what have I got to do?
Just be the dumb tourist and be like, so what have I got to do to be a ninja? Sliding some yen across the table. How much is
yeah. We go on the first day and then we can offer all of our yen.
Yeah. Just to be a ninja.
And if that's not enough, then at least we know it's, you know, we tried.
Yeah, we've tried our best.
If it is enough, then there'll be no more of these podcasts.
Yeah. Our existence from the internet will cease. Like even in
so if we disappear, then we're ninjas.
If we ever disappear from the internet, yes, that's how I want to go. Even after I die, I don't die. I've become a ninja, an immortal ninja.
Well, it's there. We've said it now, so
yeah, there we go.
If we do disappear, that's where we are. Don't come looking for us. We're ninjas.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
Oh god. We should probably cycle back to. I keep hitting me, Mike. I'm so sorry, audience.
I do it all the time. I need to stop. I need to get used to not waving my hands about when I talk.
I need to stop doing all this shit.
Yeah.
Just before we cycle off completely, because we've kind of gone away from the coronavirus thing, which isn't too bad, but it's
a podcast. It's what happens.
Yeah, it's what happens. If you're expecting an entirely coronavirus functioning podcast, good luck finding that. What are you pointing at? You tattoo?
Just check out my wrist.
Oh. Oh, that's an inside joke there. If you shout out to JJ that you're watching. Anyway, one thing I wanted to do is compare our numbers to Japan's numbers in terms of the coronavirus. Because
this is to do that, and I forgot to.
This is mental. So obviously, we'll start off with. Should we start off with Japan or UK? We'll do UK. So, in the UK...
Yeah, because it's going to hit bigger when we find out how different it is.
So, in the UK, who haven't actually had a full-on lockdown, it's kind of been a half-assed one, where people can go and choose to do whether or not they want to do the lockdown or not. It's up to them. We have had confirmed cases, 237,000, with an unsure amount recovered, apparently, and 38,376 confirmed deaths due to the coronavirus.
How much was that? How many deaths?
38,376 deaths.
38,000.
biggest in Europe. I think biggest in Europe combined. Actually, I think it's all of Europe's confirmed deaths. I think ours is still bigger. I believe that.
And when Spain was like the worst one, and we were all like, "Well, not going to be like Spain. We're going to learn our lesson."
I don't think it was Spain, was it? Wasn't it Italy? Because they went in, I think it was Italy because they went into lockdown like almost immediately after China. I think it might have been.
Yeah,
Venice.
it was the one that came like after China.
Yeah, I think it might have been Italy. You're thinking of because Venice was locked down.
But either way, we were like,
workmates went there and then came back, and then a week later they locked it down.
Yeah, we were like, "Oh, we're gonna learn our lesson because they've done it terribly. Like, it's gonna be fine. When it reaches here, we'll sort it out."
That couldn't have gone any more wrong. That's like the moment where it's like do 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 do.
And it's just perfect music for bloody Boris Johnson, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you could just imagine him bopping about with his little hair flapping.
Oh god, yeah, that's.
Shout out to Boris, now you're watching.
I mean, I'm still not entirely convinced that he actually did get the coronavirus. I'm pretty sure they just falsified that to get him off the screen to stop him from spreading bad information.
I mean, he's not done a great job.
No, definitely not. I remember one interview he said that he was going around shaking all the hands of coronavirus like volunteers and stuff, and then he was like, "Yeah, but I'm not going to get the coronavirus." And then 2 weeks later, he allegedly gets the coronavirus, and it's like, how dumb can you be? But anyway.
And then even like, yeah, we probably shouldn't talk about Boris on the Japanese podcast.
No, let's move on to Japan's case.
But basically, you know, I don't want to get political, but real quick, fuck Boris Johnson
and Donald Trump. Both have handled this awfully. But anyway, cycling quickly on to Japan's confirmed. So ours was 200 and I keep hitting my mic. 273,000 confirmed cases. Japan, in comparison, have had 16,804 confirmed. So that is still quite a high number, but significantly less than ours. And don't they have a much higher population?
Yeah, way higher. They got one of the biggest in the world, and that's per area as well. Like, Japan's not a huge country, but it's got a mad amount of people in it, so they're all close together, and like you'd think it was a breeding ground for any sort of virus.
Yeah, as you said, with the trains like being so busy all the time, and even just walking around is like trying to navigate through a maze because there's so many people.
But I believe Japan went into lockdown with less than 10 cases of the virus, so it's like
I think it was
they
less
got
than
10 confirmed. I'm sure it was 10 when they started the lockdown.
It might be. I might be wrong. But yeah, it was a low number.
That's how it should be, though.
Especially
how
because
it should have been everywhere.
They like every country's had this like warning. Like Italy was the first to go into lockdown after China, I believe, and that should have been everyone's warning. That should have been like, right, okay, Italy has done it. We need to do it now.
I mean, probably the fact that everyone was dying in China should have been the warning.
I mean, it should have been. It should have been.
Obviously
but
not.
At least, like, Italy's lockdown should have been a second warning.
Italy for, like, the Western world, because it was like, oh, it's hit Europe finally, and people are still dying. Like, let's prepare for this, but whatever.
No.
Guess we didn't.
Didn't work, obviously. Yeah, so according to the stats so far, at least of recording this, which is on the 31st of May, the confirmed cases was 16,804. The recovered was 14,406, which has left there to be 886 deaths. Compare that to our 38,000 deaths.
So what's that, 886 confirmed deaths?
Yeah.
Total. Less than 1,000. Mad.
For a highly populated and small country.
Yeah, dense population. Tons of them in a small area.
Mm-hmm. And they've managed to handle it way better than us. And it's not even through an enforced lockdown, because they can't enforce a lockdown, allegedly. They're just that
But they did it.
clever.
Yeah.
And that
Turns out they're smart enough to realise that if you stay away from each other during a pandemic, you can't spread the disease.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that?
I wouldn't think that was possible, but
madness.
Turns out it is.
Absolute insanity.
But, you know, Primark's opening, so go and get your Goku t-shirts.
This isn't even from Primark, but you can get one similar to it, so...
Yep, fact. So, get yourself down there, get yourself your Goku and your Corona at the same time. It's a bargain deal.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah. Shout out to Primark, by the way.
Oh my God,
thanks for opening up during lockdown. That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheers, lads.
Now, if you don't know what Primark is, because you're not from the UK, it is a cheap clothing line, which is not essential. Not an essential worker.
But very, very popular.
But very
so popular, in fact, that people are losing their minds over the fact that they can now go back to Primark on Monday.
In fact, in the
which
UK,
is what, tomorrow?
The same day they announced the ease up of lockdown, which was the 15th of June, alongside that date, Primark was also trending on Twitter with it.
Yeah, people are excited. Less than 24 hours. The countdown is on.
Yeah.
Primark is on its way.
Primark's on its way, lads.
Speaking of stuff, popular things that people are excited about, over in Japan, it's hitting tourism. Obviously, it's locked down. You can't even go to Japan right now, but that's a huge part of their economy.
Yeah.
That is taking a massive hit over Corona. And probably the biggest one of all is the fact that the Olympics was meant to be this year in Tokyo. Which was going to be they've been preparing for that for so long.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, the stadium being built or something 4 or 5 years ago, something mad like that.
Yeah, it's such a huge honor and platform to host the Olympics because you get to have your own acts that do all the the halftime shows and the closing and opening ceremonies and stuff, which it's a platform the whole world is watching. It's an amazing platform for your country.
Which, can I just interject to say, for Japan's version of that would have been insane as well, because it would have been a mix of traditional and new elements as well, new age elements.
Well, that's the thing, they've been planning for it for years, and I know that, when the virus first, came about, they kept saying over and over again, it's still happening. We're still doing the Olympics, we've spent way too much money on this, we can't cancel it, and it's come down to it, they've cancelled it. It's not happening this year now.
Well, it's delayed.
It's being rescheduled for next year. Yeah, I mean, it's still happening in Japan. It's going to happen next year, which is probably the best solution.
Yeah.
Because at least they're still getting it. But I guess it just means no Olympics this year, which is mad.
Yeah,
again, that's going to have impacted the economy big time because they've been paying a lot of money to prepare that, and now it's not happening, so they're not going to recoup that money till next year.
Yeah, they were hoping for a massive surge in tourism from Olympics, weren't they? So obviously that can't happen now. It's been delayed till next year, but they'll probably need that money back as soon as possible, which cycles nicely onto a thing me and James have been showing quite often in recent times, which apparently they are offering. Now, I don't know how legit this is because we're still yet to read into it ourselves, but it's worth mentioning, just in case anyone isn't aware of it. They are allegedly prepared to offer you, it says half, but potentially a percentage of your trip to go to Japan. So if you want to plan a holiday to Japan, they will probably reimburse you a percentage of the trip. It says half.
Yeah, so it's it's some government scheme to sort of kickstart tourism again once lockdown lifts.
So
understandably, people are going to be a bit sort of nervous about visiting Asia because it's where the virus came from. But it's also worth mentioning they're doing the best out of the entire planet on getting rid of it.
Way better than most Western countries.
If you're going to go anywhere, probably go to Asia, to be honest.
It's kind of like that,
you're going to get away from
mentality of when you fail first, you're probably the best to encounter the issue again because you'll know what to do with it. But
yeah, well, China sorted it out pretty quick, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I think they're on the verge, or they have just created a vaccine that is 99% successful or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Whether or not they sell that to the world or whatever, it might still be in testing, but apparently it's there.
So they'd probably have an obligation to release it to the world, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
they'd probably be pressured.
I know we're working on it as well. I think every country's got
probably, yeah. They're probably all working together as well.
Well, you would hope so. Although Trump probably isn't.
Well, he's disbanded.
Trump probably can't wait to get a vaccine so he can sell it to everyone else.
Well, didn't he disband support for the World Health Organization? Didn't he suspend the relations for US and the World Health Organization recently?
Sounds like something he'd do.
So
Although America, they've got bigger problems. Well, they've just got a lot of problems right now.
This has revealed a bigger problem, basically.
Absolute shit show over there.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Japan.
Tourism in Japan.
They're prepared to apparently pay for part of your trip to go back to jumpstart their tourism economy again. So we're definitely going to look into that. I assume it's probably going to be not half. And if it is half, it's probably just half of flights.
That sounds an accurate half.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd settle for just even a percentage of the flights back, but it would make sense to do.
I mean, honestly, right now I'd settle for just getting there.
Yeah, I would.
It's still up in the air whether we're gonna get there or not. So
I'd settle for just going, to be honest. But if we can get some money back, it would help, because it would also help their economy, because it would give us more money to spend while we're there.
Which is the plan. If we do get anything back, it's just going back into money that we can spend there. So
yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna be taking that money back and going.
It's gonna work. It's Japanese government. Know you're watching.
Do it.
We'll stick the subtitles down here. That'll be a job for Jake.
Oh God, no! Please don't do that. Oh God. Yeah.
But yeah, do it. It's gonna work.
We have to check the validity of it first, but yeah, hopefully that is a thing that they decide to do and take off.
If it is a thing, we will look into it. If it is valid and an actual thing, we'll stick it in the description.
We'll put the forum anyway in the description for this one, and then we'll probably confirm the validity
we should do
next episode.
A link dump, really, where anything we talk about, if there is a link to it and they want to read more, it's down there.
Yeah, definitely.
But tourism in general, there's tons of it in Japan. Disneyland's closed, all the theme parks are closed. Pretty much everything we did is closed right now, and there's tons of money there that they're losing. So that's where this whole thing is coming from, this whole scheme. It's because I think it's one of their biggest sources of income. Other than that, Japan is just skyscrapers and businesses and stuff, so it's kind of a big deal to them. I know every country has tourism, but what have we got? The Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, we've got Buckingham Palace, the London Eye. You could technically say the Houses of Parliament, but that's not really.
But even all that, none of that generates income. It brings people into the country, yeah, but it's not a paid attraction.
Apart from the London Eye.
Yeah, I think Japan's a big tourist hotspot. It's one of them countries. It's on everyone's bucket list. I imagine it's on your bucket list if you're watching.
If you're watching this podcast, it should be. What are you doing on this podcast if it's not on your bucket list?
Yeah, for sure. So.
But yeah, they've got way more touristy attractions. Yeah. So we've got Buckingham Palace and London Eye. They've got the Sky Tree, Tokyo Tower, Disneyland, Universal. They've got Shinobi Zato. They've got so many things like that. We've got Alton Towers, and then Buckingham Palace, London Eye. That's the only things I can think of that are like that.
Yeah. Speaking of tourist attractions in Japan, I don't know exactly when we're going to start this. If we figure out a date before the next episode, then again, it'll be in the description. But we are planning, as we've just mentioned earlier, we went to Japan last year. We've got the whole vlog series if you want to check that out. But we are planning on doing a series of episodes on this podcast of sort of what we're going to call things to do in the different areas of Japan. So things to do in Shinjuku, things to do in Akihabara, and so on. Osaka, we're going to go out. Yeah, we're going to go outside of Tokyo as well. We're going to go to Osaka. We're going to go to Kyoto. So if you are planning on going to Japan, or you've never been to Japan and you're looking for things to do there, stay tuned, subscribe, make sure that you check all that out, because it's coming.
We'll also have special episodes where we focus on a particular fan base of things. So things to do in Ghibli special or Pokemon special, where it's anything Pokemon related, we'll list the areas where things are. Anything Ghibli related, we'll list the
and we did a lot.
Things are.
Yeah, and Disneyland as well. That's because that's going to be a big one. Lots to talk
Universal.
About there. So
yeah. So
stay tuned for all that stuff.
For them.
You may or may not see Morgan involved in them ones.
Who knows? Maybe we've replaced her with someone who's put their CV in the comments.
Maybe you'll see yourself in them ones.
Maybe you can join us.
Yeah.
There'll be an empty face cam slot above me now. That could be you in there.
Insert face here.
That could be you. Who knows?
Slap the mic.
Sorry. I keep doing it. Oh, man. But yeah, this has been a weird... It's been a difficult episode to film, to be honest, because there's only so much we can talk about when nothing's going on. But yeah, I feel like we've done it quite well, luckily.
It's worth mentioning. There's been a few things in there that I think have been worth mentioning.
Yeah, so definitely. Even just for comparison.
Hopefully it's been of interest to someone.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But those things they're doing certainly will be.
Yeah, and we're going to try and get them out as soon as possible as well. We obviously just want it to be relevant, and we obviously still want information to change. So we're going to try and make them pretty much just as soon as possible, really. But
yeah, nice and detailed as well.
Yeah,
like this is going. I mean, we want it to be a source of like inspiration for anyone planning to travel to Japan, or even if you've been before. I'm sure there's going to be things that we did that you might not have known existed, or whatever. I think we were talking about maybe doing a special on just like if you're an otaku, the different things you could do all over Japan, like not just in one area, but like we'll do definitely a special episode on that, because there is like tons of stuff out there, some big, some small, but you're likely to miss some of it. So definitely use it as a medium to arrange your trip if you're planning one. And
because we've done the experience before as well, it'll be like helpful to get like insider information where it's not just reading something off a page. Like we'll tell you the best places to get certain methods of transport. So obviously we said Shinobizato was a bit of a nightmare to get to. We can tell you the best way on how to get there that wasn't our way, which was a spider death trap.
Yeah, we've been through all the shit. So
for you
we've
specifically.
Worked out, specifically.
Yeah,
we definitely had it in mind when we were doing it.
Yeah, so. Definitely. It wasn't just us falling into that position by mistake, but whatever.
I'm not a big fan of spiders, but I did it for you, audience. So
so we'll give you the best information. That's set as well. That is set, 100% certified. It's got the Jake seal of approval. It is the best information.
Yeah, that's got our Hanko stamp on it, so it's legit.
Definitely. I think that will
even during Corona, we've Hanko stamped that one.
I'll put the stamp on screen. That'll probably wrap us up nicely for the hour. I think. I think we've pretty much got everything we wanted to talk about across. Hopefully, if the next episode isn't the things to do in, hopefully there's at least some more news and some things are going on with the world. Because I believe Japan are due to lift their state of emergency status shortly, so hopefully stuff starts moving again. So stay tuned for the next episode.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Matt done it.
Check
out my wrist.